Hey everybody, I'm Mulder and thanks for joining me here on the GameChron. Today we're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla top features for returning players to know. Now I've played my fair share of Assassin's Creed games from Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, to Black Flag, to Unity, to even Syndicate. But after a while, I did take a break from the series, so for me, jumping into Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be brand new for me. After following the Assassin's Creed Valhalla game for quite some time, I've come up with a list of features that have drawn me back into Assassin's Creed, and possibly for you as well if you've taken a break from the series like I have. The first big thing we're going to talk about is the Norse mythology. From what I'll be able to see, we'll be able to check out places such as Valhalla, where all the Norse gods live, such as Odin, Thor, Balder, Loki, and who else we'll be able to bump into. I'm really hoping that we'll be able to actually walk around in Valhalla, since it's been showed off quite a few times by some gameplay from Ubisoft. Because of past Assassin's Creed games such as Origins and Odyssey, there is a strong possibility we're going to be fighting some ancient to even mythological creatures in the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Maybe finding some ice giants, to the Draga, to maybe even a Norse god himself, maybe even Thor. Though I don't know if our character would stand a chance against the Thunder God himself. To maybe even getting some legendary weapons from Norse mythology. We've already been shown that there's going to be quite a lot of gear to collect in this game, all ranging from different levels of customization to even the rarity of them. The fact that we can get Excalibur in this game and unlock it is going to be a real joy, considering the fact of how rich history and mythology that sword surrounds itself with. I personally will be doing a video for this game focusing on how you can get Excalibur the moment the game comes out, and once I find the sword. The next thing that's drawing me in to come back into the Assassin's Creed universe is of course the settlement build. Now I did talk briefly about the settlement build in my preview and thoughts video, which if you haven't taken a look at that yet, definitely drop in and watch. But I will have to say that I like the idea of building my own economy. Now one thing I am curious about is that if I choose to ignore my settlement for a while, say if I just go on raiding parties back to back, while also doing assassination missions and doing the main story, will my settlement suffer for that? Also too is that how deep can I actually customize my settlement? So far from what I see, pretty much everything that you build on the settlement will have an interaction with how your character will function around the world. For example, if you want to build better gear and upgrade not only your main character but also your Viking raiders, the chances of you building an armory and a blacksmith, you can do that in the settlement. Want to build an economy to where your settlers can flourish? You can do that by building agriculture for fishing or farming, and even building a tavern for where you and your allies can go in and party every single time you completed a mission, or sacked a village, or even taken a castle. I am really hoping that Ubisoft is doing a no-holds-bar in terms of the free customization of your settlement, to where not only will it affect your citizens living there, but also how your Viking raiders can equip themselves and go into battle with you. The next thing I want to talk about is full romance choices. This is something that past Assassin's Creed games such as Odyssey really dived into. By the looks of the game as well, there's going to be a multitude of different characters for you to choose upon to which you'd like to have a sexual romance with, if you so choose in either way. The fact that you can choose Eivor to be either a man or a woman, it really doesn't matter which type of gender you wish to go after. The fact that the game allows you to romance key characters throughout the game, I think adds a lot more life to the game while also making it very personal. When it comes to romance games like say The Witcher 3 or Dragon Age, what really drove me into those romances was the personality of the characters once you got to know them. I hope that Ubisoft doesn't rush this option and allows us to actually build connections with these characters as we try to romance them. It makes the story all the more richer, and it actually makes you care about these characters a lot more. But we're gonna have to wait and see. The next thing I want to talk about is full kingdom and castle sieges. Now you'll be able to conquer castles or even certain types of kingdoms at the tail end of major stories connected to those areas. You're gonna have to conquer small outposts or villages and work your way up to finally cutting off that kingdom or castle from its resources before you launch your major attack. Now the idea of leading your brethren into combat with their own custom gear along with your own custom longship, while leading tons of other soldiers from other clans into a castle or a certain type of a siege, just sounds so cool to me. Now what we can tell from some siege gameplay, there will be certain choke points throughout each siege to where you need to conquer a certain area of a castle before your forces can move on. Be it defeating a captain of the guard, holding back an onslaught of enemy forces before your reinforcements jump in. It really depends on what that castle's defenses have to offer. But so far it also seems that any major kingdom or castle that you have to conquer, there will be a boss battle at the end, which you can approach either going in with brute force, or as a true assassin stealthily to where you can get the jump on the boss and do major damage before the actual fight starts. I will definitely be dropping videos on every single castle that I conquer along with the bosses you'll have to face. The next thing that's drawing me back into this game is the deep combat system and the skill tree. Now in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we'll be able to dual wield axes or swords, use great swords, run with shields, axes, or short swords, or a variety of combinations including maces. Not only are these weapons and loot that you can pick up once you've conquered a certain territory and upgrade them as you go along, provided that you have a blacksmith back at your settlement that can do these sorts of things, but it also looks like that inside the skill tree itself, if there's a particular type of weapons you like to use, say dual wielding axes, there are certain upgrades and skill trees attached to those weapons, to where not only it makes your character more nimble and can strike faster, to where you can even throw those axes at enemies, impale them, and then run over and get them before you continue your attack. So far, I really like the flow of the combat of this game compared to past Assassin's Creed games, where in past Assassin's Creed games, when you take on one enemy at a time while the enemy's allies would surround you and wait for their turn to attack, in this game it looks like it's going to be an all-out brawl, which I really love. Not only will the combat system be upgradable depending upon what skills you unlock as you progress around the story or doing side quests, but there will be rare books to where it will allow you to unlock special skills to where you'll need to get one of those books in order to unlock it. These books will be scattered around the world, but I'll do my best to find them and make a video about where you can find these things. Speaking of quests, the side quests in this game look great. One thing about past Assassin's Creed games for me, again, I never got around to playing Odyssey or Origins, wherein side quests of those old Assassin's Creed games were very linear to me. Usually it was chase this guy across the rooftop because he either robbed someone you knew, or go take an item and drop it from A to B, or just simple assassination missions that you can get done within a few minutes. These missions weren't terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but they weren't that much engaging for me either. I really enjoy story-driven side missions like we got out of Dragon Age or even The Witcher 3. So the fact that we're in England talking to leaders of the Saxon while also trying to keep my own brethren happy, the fact that I can do side missions with either one of those characters sounds really great to me. And I'm really curious to see that if I do certain side missions, will it affect my main story? And then finally, the last thing I want to talk about is your own Viking crew. Now, when I saw that we have our own Viking crew, immediately Assassin's Creed Black Flag came to mind, where in that game, I found myself sailing around the world a lot more, listening to my shanty songs with my crew than anything else. We will have songs available from our crew to sing while we're out sailing. It's not just where in past games where you would only be able to take them on if you're going towards a settlement or conquering a neighboring castle, where if neither one of those operations were available, you would just be out on your own. No, this time around, you can take your Viking raiders anytime you want. So if you just see a small little port, or if you're off hunting, you can bring these guys with you. And as I mentioned in my previous video, you can actually take your raiders into other people's games and trade off different officers depending upon which combinations you like to use. And also to see what your friends are currently running for their crew to see if it might work for you. The final thing I really love is that the game encourages me to be a real Viking, and of course all Vikings did is that they raided and pillaged, which I really want to do in this game. I have to honestly say the thing that's driving me to really be excited for Assassin's Creed Valhalla is that it's not like other Assassin's Creed games that I've played in the past. Missing out on Origins and Odyssey, which one day I will go back and play those two games, the fact that the other games like say Syndicate, Unity, Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 3, Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 were all good games, some even great in their own right, but they all kind of followed a similar formula that got kind of dull after a while. I guess for me, seeing Assassin's Creed Valhalla in the state that it's in, it is an Assassin's Creed game, but also something a little different, and I'm really looking forward to that. Either way, I'll be dropping a ton of videos on tips and tricks about this game, from where you can find Excalibur, how to take down certain settlements and bosses. There'll be plenty of videos ahead on this game. So if you're interested in those videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for a lot more. And that's it for our Assassin's Creed Valhalla top features for returning players to know. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, I'm Mulder, and thanks for joining me here in the GameChron.
I promised you an alliance, and now you have it.
And one day I will need you to make good on that alliance.